Welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin, and we're going to be doing a freezing video today. So it's an early fall, it's beginning of September, and every fall I like to spend some time. I do it throughout the year, but I really focus my attention in the fall to do some freezer meals. Right now the sun is staying out late. The sun goes down around 7 here. It's warm, it's nice. I want to cook. When winter rolls around and the sun goes down at like 4:30 and it's dark and cold, I don't want to cook. So I want to put back just a couple of easy convenience foods, easy just meals to put back that I can do one day, and I can have meals kind of sporadically whenever I want them. Like I said, I do this throughout the year, but this one is always kind of like a once September hits, I gotta get this done, because today's freezer meals are all about chicken. So I don't know how far we're gonna go today. I have 3 recipes I know for sure we're gonna make, and I have a couple other lined up in case I wanna do a couple other ones if I have enough chicken. But the reason I wanna do chicken is because I wanna do my chicken broth. We're going into winter when I know I make a lot of soups, and I wanna make sure I have chicken broth on my shelves. So I normally do a big batch of broth now, and then at Thanksgiving time when I have my turkey, I'll do a big batch of broth with the turkey, and then I'll have enough stock to last me through the winter. Currently, I have 1 jar of stock left, and we are actually going to use that today. So I want to make sure I have stock for my fall cooking, because we're getting to that time where all I'm going to want to make is soups. So to help make my life a little bit easier, I did just buy some roasted chickens. I bought these at Sam's Club. They were $4.98 a chicken. They were so just under $5 per chicken. And they were nice sized chickens. And then my mom, because she just was so kind, and she likes doing this, she picked all the chicken for me. So that was nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump the entire chicken and all of its everything. All the chicken bones, the skin, all that, I'm just going to dump into my big roaster. And it is a Saturday. I plan on being home for the rest of the day. So that's what makes this nice, is that I can have this going. I normally have my stock go anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. So I'm going to be home for the rest of the day and tomorrow, so I can have this guy going and not have to worry about it. Perfect. Let's get the rest of that little bit out. So that was 3 chickens for $15. I don't think that's too bad. And it gave me, I'll show you how much it gave me. It gave me 2 big containers of chicken. 2 big containers. So with this, the 3 meals we're going to make is we're going to make some chicken taquitos, which I'm going to talk more about when I actually get started with them. Some chicken taquitos, we're going to make a chicken enchilada casserole, and finally we're going to make a chicken taco soup. Again, I'm going to talk about the taco soup then when I get started on it. But for now, I want to get the broth going. Oops. And then all of the grease that was in the bottom of like those chicken containers, she put into a little jar for me. So I'm going to add this. We definitely don't want to lose that. That is just delicious. And you can see at the bottom, there is some residue left over. I'm going to add some water. That is all the good deliciousness. We definitely don't want to lose that. Yesterday I had some carrots that I canned, and I normally don't peel my carrots. I will be honest, I normally don't peel my carrots, but the carrots looked a little, I wasn't pleased with the outside of them, and I didn't want to can kind of like blemishes, so I did peel them. And when you peel them, you freeze them. Oops, that out. When you peel them, you freeze them, and so I just threw these in the freezer, not really knowing I was going to use them today, but I'm just going to add all these carrot skins in there. I normally also keep my onion skins, and I've been slacking on my onion skins, which I'm like kind of scolding myself right now. They've been going right in the compost, and I don't know why. So I have some of these. These are the onion greens, the onion tops. that we froze when we chopped up our onions that we harvested. So they have really good onion flavor. I like to keep these and I add these in when I make my pepper packets in a couple of weeks. But I need some onion flavor. And I am somebody who I don't like to put fresh vegetables in here just because I really don't like wasting. I feel like putting an onion in here, like a whole onion, is a waste of an onion. I'm kind of weird. So I'm just going to use some of these onion greens and that should be just fine. Next, I also have some of my garlic pepper. This is when we I think we did the garlic and honey. So I'm just going to take some of these. I'm going to put the whole thing in there. I don't know if they do anything. I would imagine like onions, because they have some flavor, so I'm going to add them too. And I'm actually not going to use these. I use my carrots. But these are carrot tops that I freeze specifically for stock. So since I already had some frozen carrots, I'm going to leave these back and we're going to use these when we make stock at a later date. Now I'm just going to get this guy filled up with water. When making stock, you can use everything from fresh veggies like carrots, potatoes, and onions to all these leftovers. If I had potato skins left over, I would throw in potato skins. You could throw in celery. You could throw in basically anything you have lying around the house. This is the scraps that I have, so this is what we're going to add. And I am very much someone who likes to flavor their stock as they go. So I don't salt this. This is just what it's going to be. I'm going to let this cook for 24 to 48 hours, and then I'm just going to can it up. And then whenever I use it, I heavily salt it, and then I add more spices and flavors. But this is the way that I found that I really like my chicken broth. The first thing that we're going to make, that we're going to get on the stove cooking while we assemble the rest of the dinners, is going to be our taco soup. We can get this guy going, get this on the stove, and then this can be cooking while we work on everything else. So I just have 1 quart of chicken broth. This is the only quart of chicken broth I have left. And it is really concentrated. This chicken broth I let sit for about 3 days, or let cook for about 3 days. And I need more. So I am going to add just some water to it to hopefully give me the broth that I need. So I'm going to do a quart of water. And it is still really dark, and I need more water. So we're going to do another quart of water. So again, I'm just filling this pot up with either chicken stock, chicken broth, water, whatever you have on hand. And the thing I love about this taco soup, so normally with taco soup, I will say, when I do anything with tacos or enchiladas like we're going to do, I normally do beef, like ground beef. But with this, I really wanted to do the chicken because I know I already need the chicken for my chicken stock. So I thought this would work well. And then with this soup freezes exceptionally well. And I love having it on hand. What I do is I freeze it in individual quart size portions. I have plastic containers that are quart size. I freeze them in quart size portions. And then when I want a quick dinner or it's a quick cold night and it's colder, I can just pull out a jar of my taco soup. So this freezes really well, and I really love having this on hand. And especially going into winter, I know I'm gonna want some of this soup in the freezer ready to go. So to it, I'm adding just some tomatoes with green chilies. This is something I would like to look into canning one year, but that's not going to be this year. So I am buying them, and I did have to go out, and I am kind of annoyed I didn't like plan this out further. I did buy black beans for the soup and for the enchilada casserole, and I have black beans in the garden, but they're not quite ready to harvest. So I'm like, I should have waited until my black beans were ready and used my black beans, but it is what it is. So we are just going to use them. I think I'm going to can those just like these guys are. So when I'm ready to use them, they're ready to go. But I'm going to add 1 can, maybe, of black beans. Then I'm going to add a frozen bag of corn. And finally, my chicken. So the chicken is already shredded, so I'm just gonna put some good amount in there. I will be honest, when I do soup mainly for the broth. So like the things inside the soup, I don't really need. So my soups are not like, this is not gonna be a very meat heavy soup. I'm definitely more in this for the broth and the beans and the corn. But when I serve this, so what I do is I serve these, I freeze them in these plastic quart containers. And then when I am ready to eat it, I get it out of the freezer. And if you are smart, you can get it out, you know, in the morning and let it sit in the fridge or on the counter. I'm not. It's something like, it's 5 o'clock, I need dinner time, what do I want to eat? Oh, here's the frozen soup. So I get it out and I just fill up a pot with water, bring the water to boil, take it off the stove, and then put my plastic container in the pot for about 10 minutes. And it thaws around the plastic container enough that when I open the lid, I can get the soup out. The majority of the soup is still frozen, but I can at least pour it into a pot and start cooking it. So I'm checking to see, I think I need more meat, but I don't know how much I need. Well, just a little bit more meat. And then we're gonna call this one good on the meat, and we'll add our seasonings. I'm gonna add some taco seasoning and some oregano. And we're gonna have to kind of just like go by taste. So I'm gonna get this boiling, get this all heated up, and then give it some taste and see where I'm at. Do you want a little bit of oregano? When I serve this, I like to serve this with sour cream, some cheddar cheese, and some of those crispy taco strips on top. So delicious, so delicious. So we're gonna give this guy a stir, and then I'm gonna get him going on the stove and get him bubbling away. Now, this next meal I kind of made up by accident. I had somehow over the summer, so it's the end, it's September, so sometime back in like May or June, I had left the freezer door open enough that a lot of my meat inside the freezer had thawed. So I ended up having to cook all this meat, and one thing I had to cook was a ton of chicken, and I didn't know what to do with the chicken. I wasn't in like a very meal prepping kind of mood, so I'm like, what is the fastest way to cook this chicken and get this chicken in the freezer? So I ended up making a chicken enchilada casserole, and when I made it, it was just tortillas, chicken, and enchilada casserole, and it was delicious. I will say that. I will also say that I think a chicken enchilada casserole, well, not casserole, a chicken enchilada soup is going to be on the menu for this winter. Find out a way to turn that into a soup, because when I was eating it, I'm like, this would be delicious as a soup. But I do think this would also be really delicious as a casserole. It was really delicious as a casserole, but I do just want to kind of beef it up a little bit. So by beefing it up, I'm going to add some black beans, and I think that's going to give me just kind of like a little bit more to it. So this is actually a super easy casserole that we're going to make. I just have some flour tortillas. You can use corn tortillas, whatever you like, and I'm just going to put them in the bottom of a casserole dish, and this is just going to be like layering a lasagna. I put some tortillas down, then chicken, then black beans, then cheese, and enchilada sauce. And like I said, I really did enjoy this. I ate it up. I served it with some sour cream and then some chopped tomatoes on top. So delicious. I loved it. So let's get this guy layered. That is one of my flaws, one of my cooking flaws. I have many, especially in the kitchen. But one of my flaws is I will overfill a container. I will stuff it as full as I possibly can, until it's overflowing. So when I bake that guy, I'm definitely gonna put him in a pan so he doesn't spill all over my oven. Next, we're gonna move on to the chicken taquitos. So I'm gonna use taquitos in quotes. I bought taquitos for the first time from Aldi's probably like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I enjoyed those taquitos immensely. I would get 2 out, and they were like a quick dinner if I didn't feel like cooking, or I had, I didn't have much time to have dinner. I really enjoyed having them in my freezer. And like I do with everything, is I said, well, I can make this myself. I don't need to buy it. So I found this recipe, which is not going to be a traditional taquito. Obviously, I just put cream cheese in a bowl, but it's called cream cheese taquitos. And I am here for it. So when I first made these taquitos, my recipe now, I've very much walked away from the recipe that I found online. When I made these for the first time, I ended up rolling them to be the size of a burrito. And they froze incredibly well. They really did. These guys froze really, really well. And what I ended up doing is, because I made them the size of a burrito, I would just get one out of the freezer, put it in the oven for about 25 minutes, and that would be my dinner. And if I thought about it, I would do like refried beans with it or something like that, but just the burrito. And the only thing I serve this with is my peach habanero salsa. So I don't need to have sour cream on hand. It just made life really easy when I didn't have to have sour cream on hand to have Mexican food. So I really love these taquitos. I still call them taquitos, but I think at this point they're more of a burrito. They don't have beans in it though, or rice. So I don't think it can be a burrito without beans and rice. But this is definitely something that you could add beans and rice to. That would be really yummy. I thought about adding black beans to this, and I ended up deciding not to. I really just love this chicken taquito as it is. So I had 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm just using up the rest of my chicken in this container. I still have a whole container of chicken left to go, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. My goal is to get 6 to 8 taquitos with this recipe. I made 6 last fall, and I have like one like every so often. So 6 has lasted me since probably about last October, so that's not bad at all. To the cream cheese mixture, I am going to add some of my cowboy candy. That gives it a really nice spice. I'm going to add some cowboy candy. I'm going to add some some cheddar cheese. I'm going to add some cayenne flakes for a little bit of heat. I don't want to do too much because that cowboy candy is going to be spicy. Some chili powder. And just a little bit of taco seasoning. And this is one of those recipes I sometimes struggle to try to like use a spatula, because I want to use a spatula and not my hands. And just because it has that cream cheese in there, you need to break up that cream cheese. So just get in there with your hands. Your hands are your best tool. And you want to really get it all combined. And I'm going to actually take it a step further. I've been thinking about this all day, about doing this all day, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it. So, got that mixed. Really briefly, we're going to add one more thing. I did forget I want to add a little bit of garlic, but that's not the secret ingredient. I'm actually out of the secret ingredient, so I'm not adding it. But I think add in some ranch, either ranch dressing or some dried ranch powder would be really good in this. I have the ingredients to make the dried ranch powder. I just don't feel like doing that right now. So this batch will not have the ranch in it, and that's okay. But if you're doing this at home, I think that would help mellow out maybe some of the heat a little bit. Okay, so I got that all mixed together. So the goal is to get 6 taquitos out of this. So let's see what we get. What I should have done is I should have almost microwaved or warmed up those tortillas a little bit, because they were cracking and flaking and they're not looking as pretty as I would have liked these guys to look, but they taste delicious. They're also not as big as I wanted them to be, but I think this is a great snack size, or this is a great like a party appetizer. So I'm still really pleased with how these turned out. What I would like to do in the future is to maybe make some more with different flavors, maybe add black beans to this one, or to just add some different flavors. Do buffalo chicken, maybe do like a crab one. I don't know how that would be, like an Old Bay crab cake one, but I think these are really great snack and meal options. Okay, these aren't the prettiest, and I'm not an expert taquito burrito roll maker, so that's good information to have. And they turned out smaller just because of the size of the tortilla that I got. I got an 8-inch tortilla, I believe. And they didn't get as big as burrito size as I wanted them to. But, again, just roll with the flow. I think these will be really good. They're snack size, and if I want them for a meal, I'll just grab 2. I don't think that's any problem at all. So I'm going to get these in the oven. I'm going to get the enchilada casserole in the oven. These are going to go in for about 15 to 25 minutes. And the enchilada casserole is going to go in for about half an hour to 45 minutes. Basically, we don't even really need to cook them. Everything in here is basically cooked. Just the cream cheese needs to melt, and that could be technically be done when we bake them, but I like to bake and then freeze. So I'm just going to get these guys baked, let them cool, and then they'll go in the freezer. We still have 1 container of chicken left. I definitely overestimated, but I'm okay with that. I wanted the chicken broth, so I knew I wanted 3 rotisserie chickens, and I knew I needed to get these 3 meals made. So I'm going to put these guys in the oven and then go look up some more freezer meals and see what else I want to do. I normally do a chicken pie. I actually just pulled my chicken pie out of the freezer yesterday. That's going to be my dinner tonight. So I thought about making a chicken pie again to put back in the freezer, but I know I eat like 2 chicken pies a year, and this year I made a pie with my Thanksgiving leftovers. So turkey, corn, we have candied sweet potatoes, we have carrots. I took all of our turkey leftovers and I put it into a pie, and I loved it. So I know I'm gonna do that again this year. So I know if I make a chicken pie now, I probably won't eat it for close to a year. Next spring, it'll be a while, just because I love chicken pie, but I have to be in the mood for it. So I'm gonna go do some research, see what else I can do with this shredded chicken that strikes my fancy, just to put in the freezer, and we'll be back when these guys are done cooking. So the enchilada casserole came out of the oven, and the taquitos are out of the oven. The taco soup I have turned off. I'm just gonna let that sit and cool. I have the lid on it. We're just gonna let that sit and cool, and that I just think is going to be delicious. Just letting those flavors meld together. So what I'm doing now is, I'm a genius. So I was trying to think of what I want to do with my chicken. And then it came to me. First it came to me to make a barbecue chicken pizza. I love barbecue chicken pizzas. They're really the only pizza that I like. I normally prefer to not eat pizza. But really for me, the issue is I don't like red sauce. But even though I don't like red sauce, I really do love a good barbecue chicken pizza. So I'm like, I have all the ingredients to make a barbecue chicken pizza, and I'm just making a personal size one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to par bake this pizza crust. I have the oven set at 425. I'm just going to bake this for about 5 minutes, just get it started. And then I'm going to top it with all of my pizza goodies, and then I'm going to freeze it. Once it's frozen, I'll wrap it in plastic wrap and foil. And then when I'm ready to cook it, I'll just cook it like I would a frozen pizza. Get it out, put it on this pan, put it in the oven, and bake it for probably 12 minutes. And then I'll have a little pizza. So this is going to be a pizza that's just as perfect for me. I ideally was going to make a bigger pizza. The reason I didn't is because, or the reason I didn't is because of two things. Number one, the second thing I decided to do, which I'm so excited for, is to make a buffalo chicken Shrimpoli. So I do have some frozen pizza dough. This was a frozen pie crust, so not pizza dough, but I think it's gonna work just fine. So I decided to use the pie crust for the Shrimpoli and the pizza dough for the Shrimpoli and the pie crust for the pizza, and I think it'll be just fine. What you could also do is if you have the frozen dough in the freezer, you could also do like hand pies. I thought I was doing like hand pies or like meat pies with this. I just decided I'm just gonna stick with just the pizza because I'm kind of boring. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my pizza dough rolled out. I just got this out of the freezer probably about half an hour ago, and I just stuck it in a bowl of warm water to help kind of thaw it. And this is something great to have on hand when you are making pizza dough, when you're making pie crust. This is great to have on hand in the freezer because it just makes life so easy. So I want to get this rolled out. I've honestly never made a Shrimpoli before, and I haven't looked up any recipes or any ideas on how to do it. So we're just going to kind of go with it. So for this, I have a bowl of my chicken. I'm going to take some buffalo sauce. I just like the Sweet Baby Ray's buffalo sauce. So I'm going to take some of that. I'm just going to toss it in with my chicken and get it all nice and coated. Now, if you wanted, you could put in some ranch dressing, ranch powder in here. I still don't have any. I still don't have any. And to be honest, when I eat this, I like to dip in the ranch anyway. So I am not at all concerned or upset that I don't have ranch. That's completely fine. So like I said, with this, you could turn this into a pizza. You could turn this into hand pies. You could turn this into a couple different things. You could have pasta and make it like a buffalo chicken pasta. I was gonna do that. That's where I was gonna go, and then I decided a Shrimpoli sounds so much better. So I'm gonna poke it a little bit with my fork so I don't have any air bubbles, and I'm gonna dump my chicken. I don't quite know what I'm doing here, so we're just gonna play it by ear. That is gonna be a big Shrimpoli. I don't know if I have enough dough. Well, I'm gonna figure it out. I also should have been wearing an apron. My shirt has a ton of dirt on it. Of course. Total Caitlin move. So I'm just using the cheese I already kind of have ready to go. This is an Asiago and a Parmesan. I'll put some of that on there. I think that'll give it a nice flavor. So some leftover mozzarella. I did some tomato caprese salads this weekend, so I thought this would be great to use up here. So I'm going to take it in little kind of blocks, and I'm hoping, my goal is like when this melts, then this would melt in like a little itty bitty gooey packet of deliciousness. And then last, I have some white cheddar. I wanted to have like more mozzarella or like a Monterey Jack, but I don't have it, so, and that's okay. Make do with what you have is the goal here. So I'm just gonna shred some white cheddar. I think I got enough cheese on here. I do want to do a little sprinkling of salt. Make sure it's salty enough. I think that's it. I didn't look up any recipes, so I'm hoping I'm not like missing anything like super important. And then we're gonna, I guess, try to roll it all up. Do I need more dough? Probably. Am I making more dough? No. Okay. No tearing. Let's just be a big happy family. I always go out to have like beautiful things, like make the beautiful cakes and stuff. And whenever I'm done, I'm always like, it's very rustic. It's very rustic. And this one is going to be no different. This one's going to be very rustic too. Oh. I did do some more research, just really quickly, and they did say that this probably should be baked before being frozen. So not a problem. I have the oven at 425, and we're going to again do it for about 8 to 9 minutes, or until it looks nice and golden. Okay. I'm going to brush this whole Shrimpoli with the egg, or you could also do melted butter. That would be good too. And then I'm gonna put some, oops, making a mess and a half over here. I'm gonna do some garlic, and then I'm gonna do some of my Parmesan cheese on this crust to give it just some extra flavor. Some garlic powder. That did not work as planned. And then I'm just gonna put some of my Italian cheese blend on it. And I tell you what, even not cooked, that looks delicious. And I am so proud of this Shrimpoli. So I'm gonna put this guy in the oven. We're gonna start him actually at 12 minutes. I'm gonna start him at 12 minutes and check him in 12 minutes and see what he looks like. My Shrimpoli just beeped, and I wasn't quite happy with how golden it was yet, so I put it back in for 3 more minutes. So we're gonna see if we can't get this pizza made before that Shrimpoli comes out. So I'm just doing a barbecue chicken pizza. This is one of my favorite pizzas to make, and I've just parboiled or started baking my crust. It is not baked. I just lightly started the process. And then I'm just going to use some barbecue sauce. I'm just using Sweet Baby Ray's. And then I'm going to use a combination of, I have a little bit of leftover Mexican cheese. It's cheddar and Monterey Jack. So I'm going to use that leftover, and then again some more of my Parmesan, Asiago, Fontina. If I had more of that mozzarella, I would love to put mozzarella globs on here, but I don't. So this is going to be, and this is going to be completely fine. It's going to taste delicious. So I am excited. So there's my, I guess we actually don't really need this. I'll do just a little bit, but we don't really actually need that. Okay. Next, I'm just going to do some chicken. And I'm definitely going to have chicken left over. So I'm going to need to figure out what I want to do with the rest of this chicken. What other meal? We're getting a lot of meals out of 3 chickens. So that is exciting. This actually didn't take up too much, didn't use up too much chicken. Next on mine, I love to have red onions on mine. So I've just thinly sliced some red onion. I put that on there. I feel like every bite for me needs to have red onion. And then lastly, I'm gonna put on just some big sprigs of basil. that is not a bad looking pizza. So I'm gonna go put this entire thing, cutting board and all, in my freezer just to flash freeze this, and then once everything is kind of one solid piece, then I will wrap it individually and get it stuck in the freezer for the storage. Friends, it is early the next morning and I was up late getting all, that's a candle, getting all of this chicken broth canned. I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 quarts of chicken broth with 3 rotisserie chickens, so I think that was pretty good. And if we look, this chicken broth is just gorgeous. I let it cook for 24 hours. I actually prefer to let my chicken broth normally go 48 hours, but today's Monday and I canned it on Sunday. I knew I was going back to work today. I wasn't gonna have time to get this all canned up. So I'm really happy though with how beautiful, that rich color. Someone just asked me yesterday why I made my own chicken broth and not just buy it from the store, because the store it's just $1. And I was like, compare your chicken broth with my chicken broth, and it's not even going to be a comparison. This is so much better, and I know exactly what is in it. This is also not salted. I don't like to salt my chicken broth when I make it. So when I make whatever I use with it, I just salt it then. That way I salt the whole dish at once. If I would salt this, for me, I would probably over salt the whole dish then, and then it wouldn't be as good. So 13 quarts of chicken broth down. I also haven't wrapped up the last of the chicken. See if I can find the chicken in the fridge. Oh, no, I can't. We're done. I still have this much chicken to use up, and I decided, I just haven't done it yet. I got busy yesterday, but I decided I'm going to make that chicken into just a barbecue chicken. So I'm just gonna toss it with barbecue sauce and put it into probably two separate quart-sized baggies, and then that way I can just have barbecue chicken. If I want to put it on a sandwich, I can do that. But what I really like to do with my barbecue chicken or barbecue pork is put it like in a shepherd's pie, put it on a baked potato, put it on a sweet potato, put it in a grilled cheese, something like that. So I think that'll be a good use and a quick, easy use of that chicken. So 3 rotisserie chickens made me quite a few meals for winter, for the future, and I'm really excited about it. So this was one day, which honestly wasn't even a full day. The whole chicken cooking process took maybe an hour, hour and a half. Really not a lot of time, and I think everything was just super easy. Threw it together. It wasn't hard at all. So having those pre-made crusts and pizza doughs in the freezer really helped save some time. Have my mom do the chicken really helped save some time. But 3 rotisserie chickens, got it all broken down, and it is ready to be used in the future. And so I'm really excited about that. That's just another level of food security for me. Another level of allowing me to be lazy so I don't have to cook some days. I'm all about it. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next video. Hi friends, it is a couple days later, and I am just getting to the point where I'm going to put my chicken broth down in the basement for storage. And I did something this time. I made a mistake. I think it's going to be completely fine, but I did want to share it with everybody. So if this happens to you, you know why it happened, you know what it is, and you know how to fix it so it doesn't happen again. So chicken broth obviously needs to be pressure canned. We pressure canned it. I was in the middle of doing a whole bunch of things that I let it come down from pressure. So hold on. Okay, so when pressure canning, we're going to use my lid as an example. When pressure canning, where I am, I need to get to 10 pounds of pressure, which is right up here at the top of my gauge. This is called my weight, and it has a little bit of weight to it. What I do is when I'm pressure canning, now if you are new to pressure canning, you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna wanna watch a couple of videos, and I can put some out if anyone's interested on how to pressure can. But what you do is you put everything in your pot, you seal it without the lid, or sorry, without the weight. You seal the pot without the weight, put the lid on the pot. You let it go until there is steam coming out of this vent here. You let this depressurize for 10 minutes. At this point, this lock that I just popped up right there will pop up. Let it go for 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, I can put my weight on, and I can start bringing up the temperature. Once my weight is on, this will start building temperature. So where I am, I'm less than 1,000 feet above sea level. I think I'm actually like right at sea level. I'm not very high at all. I go to 10 pounds of pressure. Depending on where you are, you may have to go to 15 pounds of pressure, which is over here. So I go to 10 pounds of pressure. Once I'm done canning, so the entire time I'm canning, my gauge needs to read above 10. If it drops below 10 at all, I need to start the timer all over. So you really want to be mindful of that. So what I was doing, I canned correctly. It stayed above 10 the whole time. And when it was done, I turned the stove off and I let this completely come down to 0. Now, what you're supposed to do is when it comes down to 0, is to take this weight off and a whole bunch of steam will come out of here. And you need to let this go for at least 10 minutes. When you are canning liquids or things such as pie syrup, anything that has like more liquid to it, you want to really take it slow. You don't want to like jump it from a hot steamer or a hot canner to a cold kitchen. And that does something that happened to me. So when the gauge came down to 0, I immediately took off the lid. Didn't take off the weight. I did burn myself a little bit on the finger. And I'm so into what I'm doing, I didn't even pay attention. And I hear all of these things happening in the canner. My lids are popping, weird things are happening. I'm like, I've never heard this before. What is happening? Well, you dummy, you didn't let all the pressure out of the canner before you opened it. So what happened, again, and this is normal. Well, it's not normal, but it's not bad. Ideally, you don't want this to happen, but it's going to happen to everyone, and it's called siphoning. So if you look at this chart in particular, you can see right here is the line. I filled all of these up to the top. I filled them all up at least to this rim. So you can see, there's a better angle, how low it is. They're all, well not all, but the majority of them are that low. Again, I filled him up to here. It is normal. And so you can see this is my second batch. I did 2 batches. One I did right, the second one I did wrong. So they both are filled up to the same place. See if I can get these guys even. And I hope you guys can see the difference between these two, where the liquid is at. So that's called siphoning. And that happens when you have a drastic temperature change from hot to cold. It just releases a lot more of your liquid. So it happens a lot in pie syrups. It happens if you're canning like whole peaches or whole apples. It happens. But that's how you can hopefully stop it. 1, don't do what I do. And 2, leave your cans in the canner for a little bit longer to allow them to adjust to the room temperature, and that'll really cut down on your siphoning. So I checked all these lids. All these lids are very, very good. They're very solid and they're stuck. I have the rings off. Notice I took the rings off. I never store anything with rings on. What can happen is if you leave the ring on, number 1, if the seal pops, you won't know it. So sometimes the seal can pop and I'll go and I'll look at this and I'll be like, that doesn't look right. And I'll go check the seal and the seal will come right off in my hand. There are other times where I pick the jar up by the seal, and if you have a ring on, that ring can create a fake seal. So if your seal would pop and you go to pick it up like this, your seal's gonna come off, you're not gonna pick this item up. But if you have the ring on, you pick it up, you are not gonna know that your seal has failed. So when you take off the ring, either A, you might be busy and might not realize that you didn't have to work to get the seal off, or 2, when the seal fails, food can actually come out and bacteria can form on this lid and it can actually reseal. Because it has a ring on, it can actually do a fake reseal. So because there's gunk, because there's dirt, because there's something on the seal that caused the seal to fail, it could actually make the seal fail and then reseal, but not in the way that's going to be safe for eating. It's not going to keep the bacteria out. It's just going to make the seal basically stuck to the jar, and it's going to trick you into thinking that the seal is good. In reality, it's not. So all the rings always come off, and if I have any doubt about whether a jar has sealed, just toss it. Every single time, it's actually kind of funny, every single time I have a seal fail, I have yet to get upset. Sometimes I can tell when a seal has failed. Sometimes I just pick it up and the seal comes right off. I have never gotten upset because I would always rather know that a seal has failed and my item may not be safe than for me to never know. So for me, when a seal fails, I'm just like, I always say a little thank you. Thank you. Thank you for failing. Thank you so that I don't get sick. I don't get somebody else sick. So do it again. Another rule, do as I say, not as I do. So I'm getting these guys put down into the pantry, and these guys will definitely keep me good until Thanksgiving. I got 13 quarts from 3 rotisserie chickens. So I think that's really good. And then in 2 months, just over 2 months, I'll be doing a whole nother batch with a turkey. So between that and this, I have broth for the winter and I am happy. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys on the next video.